Don't get left behind. Don't have this grudge against your life and against your job and against your time. Flip the script and make it positive. Find a way to just bring some peace into your life and live longer and live more in the now. Be more aware, be more present. Because I promise you, this one life that you have, even if you feel like you're coming back as something or something else, this one life that you're living right now, why not make it the best it can be? Hey, I'm Keaver Brenai, and you're entering a world gone good.
Well, hello, my name's Steve, and this is the place where we shine the light on everyday people making good happen each and every day. Welcome one, welcome all to World Gone Good. Today we are talking about mentoring. Have you ever had a mentor? I have. Their names were Steve Austin and Jamie Summers, and if you have no idea who I'm talking about, this relationship is over. I said it's over. In somewhat seriousness, I've had a few amazing mentors along my life journey, most notably my dear friend Denise Alexander, who passed away in March of this year. I could always go to Denise as my sounding board, whether it was personally or professionally related and or motivated. She was an amazing listener. And she never told me what to do. I think that's two key things about being a good mentor is listening and not just saying, do this. What she did so well is she would help me see and discover and sometimes formulate a path or the path to get to where I wanted to go. Keaver Brenai understands this. She's a voiceover artist, a singer, an author. And one of the things I like more about her than anything is she is consistently happy right where she is. And you know what? When she's not one to shy back and tell you she's going to pivot. She's going to get to that happy place. She's had some amazing mentors herself and is now doing something she calls mentoring with a mic, using her personal positivity combined with her professional background to help the next generation of creatives around her to discover their own happy place. Here comes singer, author, VO artist, and mentor Keaver Brenai to share her good journey. So today's guest that I have with me, we fall in the same zone kind of what we do, but I want to go a little bit wider out before we get into all of that and all the things we have to talk about today. And I want to ask you this. I think I know the answer, but I want you to talk about it. The world is a little cray-cray right now. And my question to you to start, Ms. Keaver, is, do you think creativity is more important than ever right now?
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for that question. And yes, I do believe creativity is truly important right now because not only for us, for ourselves, but also for us to give it to and to help other people to use our voices. And we have to do it in very creative ways. Like today, I had a lot going on. And I really had to get creative with even getting prepared for you today. And I said, I have to take 3 to 5 minutes to just meditate. I have to do that. So I grabbed a quick shower. And during my shower time, I just took some time. I just creatively just said, okay, we're just going to meditate. I know that I'm not going to be closing my eyes and I'm not just going to be, but I had to do something, right? To bring myself to one. I had to do something. And I feel that it's imperative that we do that for the world. We do it for our family. We do it for friends, for neighbors, that we creatively find a way to have a positive voice. So absolutely, my answer is yes.
That's so interesting. Have you always been this way? Have you always known to take a minute for yourself? Because so many people roll their eyes, like, I don't have a minute. And I'm always like, really? Why don't you get up 1 minute earlier? But that's just me.
Exactly. Well, interestingly enough, my parents were in some form or fashion people that took time out. So, growing up in the church, my parents were take a moment to pray or take an hour to pray, depending upon what was really going on. We always had quiet time. We had reading time. I wasn't allowed to watch any sort of television during a certain time of day. I either had to take time out to read a book or just be quiet. It could be I learned knitting and crocheting with my grandmother and her friends, right? And I was just being quiet, just listening to them. So, yes, I have always taken time out for myself, just to ground myself. Sometimes I walk outside in the grass and just do a little bit of grounding, or I go to the beach and put my feet in the sand, at the water line and do some grounding there, earthing. Some people have a different name for it, but it's important to me so that I can have a clear mind and a clear heart and a clear spirit so that I can bring to the microphone, that person, just Keaver.
I think it's interesting about your parents. Can I ask you about them for a second here? So,
Of course.
were they always that way? Did they find their way to it? Was one of them more like high maintenance and that was low maintenance and like, we got to chill or?
Before I was born, of course, I'm not sure.
Right.
I do have pictures. I do have pictures, though, and I've heard stories that they enjoyed throwing a good house party.
Okay.
And yes, and all of the friends and family came.
That could be meditative and present too, people. You know what I mean? It's because that's what I'm saying. It's all about being in your moment. Like right now.
That's true.
If you're listening to this right now, we're having this conversation right now. I could choose to be on my phone. I could choose to be looking out the window. I could choose to be doing 3 other things on my computer. How many oh my God, how many clients of mine? I love you all. But how many of them, like I'm talking and I can hear you typing and I'm asking you about what you're supposed to be telling me. And you know what I mean?
Right.
So
I got you.
house party away, I say.
Yes. And we had more china than anybody I knew. My parents, they knew how to throw a party. You didn't have paper plates. You didn't have paper cups, honey. You had china.
Oh, I
You
love
had
it.
flatware. You had sherry glasses. Oh my goodness. It was just the most beautiful. And I agree with you. I believe that people came and people were happy when they left.
Now, you and I fall into a world, different aspects of it, I suppose. But we do live in a world of promo and trailers and tell everybody what you like best about what you do.
One of the big things that I do is voiceover. I'm also a book author as well as a public speaker, and I'm a singer. So on the voiceover side, speaking of the promo trailer side, I love what I do because I get to talk on a microphone all day long. And I fell in love with microphones going back to when my parents were in church. My mom sang in the choir. My grandmother was on the missionary board, and she would give these speeches or do the minutes. She'd be up there on the microphone or doing the announcements or whatever. And I just fell in love with this microphone thing. However, my career started singing. I started singing professionally as a studio singer at 12 years old.
Let me ask you this about the church, because last week we had a guest on, Dr. Stephen Drabeck, and he has a really amazing relationship. He feels a very personal relationship with his own God, his own belief in that, and he went through quite a journey. Has your relationship with the church, has your relationship with your spiritual side, has it shifted? Has it changed over the years? Has it gotten stronger?
It has gotten stronger. But there's a difference between the relationship with the church, I feel. There's a difference between the relationship with the church and your relationship with God. And the reason I say that is during COVID, of course, you weren't in a church, right? So a lot of churches were closed. So for me, I got closer because during that time, I had to rely on my relationship with God, whether that was just randomly talking to him throughout the day, like, oh my goodness, are we going to be okay? Whether it was praying for people that had passed away that I knew, whether it was using that as my meditation time. and my making sure that I was okay, it had nothing to do with a church, right? So it was, in my mind, a little bit different, and I feel that it's still different. Yes, you can be a member of a church and attend a church and be friends with people in church, and church is really important as a collective. But I feel that your relationship with God is way more important than the church, because do you only feel good on a Saturday or Sunday or Wednesday or a Tuesday? Or do you feel good all the time because you can call on God, or you can feel settled, or you can feel excited, or you can feel motivated, right? You can feel creative. I feel that that relationship should be a 24/7, not just something that's based on a building.
But we got on a whole different tangent now, didn't we?
We really did, and it's all good. It's all good, because you know what? It's all good.
Now we talked as well when we were talking about what will our topic be for our show today. No, because we talk about so many different things. So one of
Yeah.
the things you brought up to me, which I just absolutely love, is you talked about mentoring with a mic, and I wanted to get your feelings on that, because I want to get into a conversation with you about mentors and start here. Who were your mentors? Now you can't say your mom and dad, and you can't say the church, and you can't say the house parties. Go. Just
Oh
kidding.
my goodness, you took away all of my mentors. My word. Jeez Louise. You just took the wind out of my sails, as they
Oh,
say.
well, wah wah. No, I'm kidding. Say whatever you like.
Right. Honestly, well, to start out, my mentors were characters in books. I love to read. I love being in a library. I love the smell of the pages and the fragrance of the books themselves. Now, that may sound corny, but I really do. And my mentor along my walk of life could be a character in a book, someone that got to go to the beach that day. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to do that. Or a person that went on a hike and they saw, like you said, this beautiful landscape. Or it could be a person early, later on, it could have been a person that decided to accomplish something. Maybe they wanted to write an essay, or maybe they wanted to write a letter. Or in college, I wanted to write a letter to myself and mail it. And so I did that because I read it in a book. So that was kind of a mentor. Um, can't talk about my parents.
You can. You can.
Of course, my parents.
Wait, go back to writing a letter to yourself. I find that very interesting. What perspective did you take upon creating that, to create that?
So I read a book when I was fairly young, and the person had written a letter to themselves about who they wanted to be in a year, right? And so I said, well, I'm going to write a letter to myself, and this is what I want to be in a year. And then I got creative with it, and I said, who do I want to be in 2 years? Who do I want to be in 5 years? And then I said, you know what? I got some more stamps. I said, I'm going to send myself a letter and say, who do I want to be in 90 days? Let's just go for it. I'm going to send 5 letters to myself. And on the outside of the envelope, I would just put this one's for 90, this one's for a year, this whatever. So I would know when I had to open it, right? So, of course, all the letters came in the mail around the same time, and then I would stash them in a drawer, and I could not read them until the allotted time. And I've always had an appointment book. Being in entertainment as a kid, I think I got my first appointment book. I was 10 years old. And my parents saved it. It's one of those things. And my writing was, of course, a lot bigger than the box that was allotted for the day. So I kind of used saved appointment books as mentors for times when I was a little bit stuck. I would go back and I would read what I wrote, and I would say, oh man, you did say that you were going to write some music by this time in your life, and you're not finished with it. So let's get going, young girl. Let's get going. Or I would see someone in a movie, sometimes even, and I would use their timeline or them becoming super famous celeb and writing a book. And I was like, man, I want to one day record with a celebrity. Right. And so I set out on that journey in college. And I said, I want to be really, really good to where somebody just calls me and they're like, hey, we want you to sing background for so and so and so and so. And that happened. I mean, I literally would use someone's journey as my mentor. And later on, I got a chance to sing at the Hollywood Bowl. I got a chance to sing at the Greek Theater. I got a chance to sing background with Grammy Award winning recording artists. Like I enjoyed that part of my life. And even for voiceover, there were mentors, people that don't even know me to this day. And I looked at their journey and I said, one day I want to be a voice in a film. Well, I was able to accomplish that. One day I want to be a voice on a trailer, you know? I said, and at the time that I heard the voice on the trailer, it was a guy voice. And I said, man, I hope one day girls are able to do this. Well, sure enough, that has happened. So it's really interesting.
Did you connect it? Did you connect it like at times when it was happening?
Much later. Not
Much
as
later.
no,
Okay.
not as it was happening. I wish. But I kind of felt a connection, but most of the time I was too young or too excited or just quickly moving and just doing the thing to really step back and realize the connection. Now I do, but even now I think sometimes not in the moment. I could do something magnanimously awesome, and I don't really realize it until that night when I'm looking back over my day. But a couple of times I think in my life I've realized that I was really in the moment. I was very in the now. I was very in the connection. And I think one of those times was when I sang background for Michael Jackson. I was there. I was present. I was just aware. Um, I can remember the people in the room. I can remember rehearsing, standing around the piano. I remember singing my part. And I'm just like, thank you, God. Like I'm here. Like this happened. I mean, even right now, like I can feel that moment. And I think that was one of the few times in my life where I was really present. I was really in the now.
So you now in your life, you're taking this time to some degree and mentoring other people?
I am. I am. So I've noticed along my journey a lot of things that I had to accomplish on my own because no one, or not no one, but no one that I knew had really done it the way I was doing it. So currently I'm in a doctoral program and I'm studying organizational leadership, right? And in studying organizational leadership, it's so that I can build this whole conglomerate and put all of my things that I do, as we talked about earlier, into this organization and be able to lead with excellence, right? So in doing that, I've been working with other friends or working with friends that lead voiceover groups. And they've asked me to come in and show people how to do what I've done. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't teach voiceover. I don't know it from that perspective. They said, no, 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 no. How are you always so positive? I just was like, hey, I'm having fun. I'm enjoying doing this.
Right, because
And
I was going to say there's a couple of close
yeah,
friends of yours, I'm sure, who would say, "Oh, she's not that inspiring." Just kidding, just kidding.
no, no, I kid you not. Like there are close friends that I have that they realize that that's just who I've been my whole life. They don't see me as an inspiring public speaker. They're like, "What? You're going to speak for people to talk about what?" Like, Kever, that's just who you are. What are you going to talk about? And I'm like, "Ooh, you're right. What am I going to talk about?" So then I had to sit down and just kind of explore like, okay, what is mentoring? How, like you said, how have I been mentored? What has helped me shape my career? How do I stay on time and how do I have a good mindset? And, how do I practice things? And, how do I just feel awesome to want to get on the mic. And I love the fact that being a mentor for me is I'm helping someone do something that I love to do. And it's just a beautiful thing for me, as I believe, as well as the person that I'm helping. So I love being that mentor person.
I think what's really also important with it is that you have to remember that it's not a Pollyanna way of looking at the world. It's not that you're in denial that there's traffic, right? And gas is expensive and whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and the air conditioner went out and that neighbor of yours will not shut the fuck up and you got to do a recording and they're annoying, whatever it is, right? So those things are always going to be there. It's really a perspective shift as a mentor, because I've been one myself, taking yourself out of the competition side of thinking. We're not in a competition with anyone.
Right.
We might choose to be in a competition with ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
but like you said, you mailed letters to yourself. And that could be viewed as your own personal competition in the best way possible.
That's very true. That's very true. And I always tell people, they're like, oh my goodness, Kever, I did all this work and I didn't get the audition. I didn't get the booking. They didn't choose me. I didn't even shortlist. And I'm like, but you do realize that you not booking it doesn't make you better or lesser than the person that booked it. You're just different. So in my mind, it's not a competition. It's an opportunity to be included in the 5. I'm not competing against 4 other people. I'm reading and I'm auditioning and the client picks one. I don't feel that that's competition.
But I love that you called it an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time. Yeah, my niece, God bless her. I think I've told this story on here before. My niece told me many years ago that I think she was in high school or college. She and her 5 friends went down to this restaurant. They were looking for a server. They all interviewed for it. And I'm sure many other people did too. Well, guess what? One of her friends got the job. And then she said to me, and we're happy for her, but we want to go down there and say, hire us too. We're just as good as she is. And I'm like, wait, what? And she said, well, I just don't understand. And she was younger at the time. She's older now. But she said, I just don't understand. Like, we're all good. Why don't they hire all of us? And I was like, because there was one position. They'd go out of business. Do you know how anything works? Like, because they don't have $1 billion? What are you talking about? And she's like, but why did she get it and we didn't? And I go, because some people get and others don't. Wait, what is happening right now? And that is a really strong perspective shift, because that friend of yours, and this applies to anyone listening right now in any aspect of your life, that was an opportunity.
Yeah.
An amazing opportunity.
Absolutely.
And who knows where to live? Like, how many times do you look back and go, oh my God, if I hadn't done that and that didn't happen and I didn't get that, then this thing wouldn't have happened, right?
Yes, exactly. And I think that people, unfortunately, look at a majority of their life as competition. So many things compete for time, people feel, on our calendar. I don't look at my calendar as I have 10 things to do and they're all competing for today's date.
And I want to say, anybody listening right now who is rolling their eyes and saying, well, I have to go to work because I have a mortgage, must be nice. I have to go to work because I have a car payment. I have to go to work because I have kids. And I know friends of mine who are like this. Hope you're listening. Hee hee. But my thing is, so does Kever and so do I.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you're not special.
Right.
We all do. And again, it is the choice of making a shift in your perspective.
Exactly. And I talk to people. There are plenty of people who look at their job, quote unquote, whether your job is from 9 to 5, from 7 to whatever, from 2 to 3. from 1:30 to 1:45. Whatever the time is for the job or jobs that you have, a lot of people are mistaken about I've got to get up and go to this job mentality. And that's one of the things that I'm working on presenting on behalf of my doctoral program is letting people know that in the past, a person looked at moonlighting, quote unquote, as something that was bad because you had this full-time job of what people consider full-time. That's loose now as well, a loose concept. You have this job and then you're moonlighting doing something else.
Wait, can I hold you for a second?
Of course.
Moonlighting, for anyone listening, if you're under a certain age, it's called your side hustle. Continue.
Yes, your side hustle, right?
But I love moonlighting. Moonlighting's a way better name.
Moonlighting, side hustle.
And moonlighting came from the fact that the moon was outside when you did this shit and the light was coming off the sun.
Right.
The moon.
Yes, exactly. That's where I'm going with this. So if you take this moonlighting concept, I love that you said that. Look at all the musicians. Okay, the gig starts at 10. So you're telling me that they're moonlighting, but this is the only job they have. That's not moonlighting, right? So let's say they record their record at night or they go on stage at 10, or a person that's a comedian. Their set starts at 8, right? In the wintertime, sun's down, moon's out. Is that moonlighting? Or is that this is that person's job, right? And here's another piece to this is, in our world today, if we are not all multi-hyphenates, we're missing out. What do I mean by multi-hyphenate? Whether you read a book or you read a scripture or you listen to the stocks and the trades, everyone should have multiple streams of income. The Bible says that, your banker says that, probably your best friend or whatever mentor or public speaker that you've heard. Everyone should have multiple streams of income, meaning you're multi-hyphenate. You do multiple things, hopefully for money, okay? Because you don't know when one of those streams will dry up. None of this in my mind or in my life is a hustle, number one. I do what I love to do 24 hours a day. I don't care if it's crocheting and selling it on Etsy. It doesn't really matter. So explore and find out what you love to do. If you want to do it for money, if you want to volunteer and just give it away, whatever it is. But let's lose this whole mentality of my hustle or, oh my God, I've got to get up and go to this office at 8:00. You don't understand how many people would love your 8:00 opportunity. There's a lot of people out here that would love to have an opportunity at 8 a.m. that was guaranteed with a check coming in.
And if you don't love the 8 a.m. thing,
change it.
Change it. And the only person who can change it is you. And again, you can go off on me anytime you want. We've done shows about this. But I have a mortgage, but I have this, but my kids are in college, but my braces, but my car payment, but my car loans, but my college loans, my blah, 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 blah. That's just stuff.
It's stuff. And we all have that. Everyone has it. This is what I tell a lot of my mentees. Write all your bills down, whatever your concerns are. If it's bills, if it's whatever your concerns are. Write them all down on a piece of paper. Write all of the ways that you can generate income on the next column. And let's figure out how to cover all of those. There's so many opportunities now, right? All of the turmoil and the trials that we've gone through during the last 5-6 years of our lives in this world, people have come up with so many ways and so many opportunities and so many new ideas. Guys, don't get left behind. Don't have this grudge against your life and against your job and against your time. Flip the script and make it positive. Find a way to just bring some peace into your life and live longer and live more in the now. Be more aware, be more present. Because I promise you, this one life that you have, even if you feel like you're coming back as something or something else, this one life that you're living right now, why not make it the best it can be?
Where do people follow you online and how do they get to know you better? Plug away.
KeaverBrenai.com. KeaverBrenai.com. Or, as they say, you can just Google me, baby. Just type my name in there and there's a million things you'll see.
And the final question is not a question. It's the way we close the show. It can be anything you want to say. It goes like this. Tell me something good.
God is good. Life is good. And my health is good. Good is an interesting word. And I would challenge people to ask themselves every day, what is good?
Thank you, Keaver, for sharing your good with us. Next time on World Gone Good.
I wrote down my grandmother's landline number and I slid it across my desk to her and I said, I know this sounds crazy, but here's my grandma. This is her landline number and she lives in Washington. Just give her a call anytime and she's a great person to talk to. And my coworker's response was, Mike, that's the weirdest thing that anyone has ever said. You want me to call a grandmother, your grandmother, who I've never met, and talk to her about like my relationship issues? And I said, just give it a try.
Mike Matthews and his grandma Eileen were having these amazing Zoom conversations when he realized he needed to share grandma with the world. So he set up a free advice stand, think Lucy from Peanuts, where strangers could sit down and talk with Grandma Eileen remotely. And then he took it one step further and found other grandmas. He cheated on Grandma Eileen. Other grandmas that were ready and willing to give advice in person. And the next thing he knew, Grandma Stand NYC was born and connecting and reconnecting people and building community all around him. Get ready for a brand new episode that's going to redefine the term generational wealth. Until then, be good.